All right, here's a tour of the Pairings Master responsibilities at Warzone. It's pretty simple. Most of the stuff you're seeing here you don't have to worry about. You're really only going to be looking at two different buttons here. The first one we're going to take a look at is Schedule. It's as simple as this. It's showing you all of the competitors in the order that they will be arriving. You'll be able to see their weigh-in time, their start time, and their end time. And this is when they'll be able to weigh in, and this is when they'll be eligible to request matches. You don't even need to look at this. I'm just letting you know that it exists here. You will be spending your time on the Warzone page, primarily right here in the pools. So I'm just going to select the folk style pool, and let's show you what we've got here. So we have a list of eligible participants. It just shows you everybody who's at the event. And then we have the pairing pool. And the pairing pool is the ordered list of wrestlers that are looking for a match. Luke Lagarde is the next person in line. We can see what he weighs, his age, and his rating. And the question is, how do we know who the best matchup is for him? Because currently there are, over 100 people in the pairing pool right now, all looking for a match, all of different ages, weights, and skills. Who's the best matchup for Luke? Well, the overwhelming majority of your job will be spent viewing the View Best Pairings page. Here, we can see that Luke Lagarde is the one that we're pairing. And this is an ordered list that the computer generates of who it thinks will be the best matchup for Luke. And these are our suggestions from the computer, and the order is pretty good. And your options are going to be either to create a pairing, or to move him to the bottom, or to move someone else to the top. So let's just, for example, show you how to create a pairing. If I liked this matchup, I would just press the green button. And that's it. Both wrestlers just received a text message letting them know what mat they're on. The match has been dispatched to that mat, and the mat side table worker there can orchestrate the bout. So let's go into what it takes to decide on a pairing. Well, a couple of things. Another option I have, if I don't like any of the pairings, I can move someone to the bottom of the list. And then that just jumps the next person to the front. Or I could move somebody else to the top. If I decided I wanted to give someone else a match, I could do that. So, all right, right now I have Ainsley Rogers. They're 80 pounds. They're 12 years old, and this is their rating. So let's see what I know about the potential matchups. Well, the likelihood that Ainsley will win against Olivia George is 76%. Now that's calculated based on both wrestlers' match history and tends to be pretty accurate once we've got about 4 or 5 matches under each wrestler's belt. So you, as the pairings master, pretty much just want to look for something that's green across the board. For example, this is all green across the board, so we know that it's a well-balanced match. They're close in weight, not a terrible weight disadvantage, and they're pretty close in age, so this would be a good match to create. Notice that while this would be a decent match to create in terms of skill and weight, it's a pretty bad mismatch in terms of age. This person is probably an elite 6-year-old, and this person's probably a terrible 12-year-old. We wouldn't pair that up. This is, honestly, you wouldn't even consider it. But this is a good match, so let's make it. Now here's a good match. A 7.2-year-old versus a 6.9-year-old. Close in weight. Decent chance of both wrestlers winning. But they've already wrestled once at this event, so you probably won't want to pair this match. It doesn't mean that you never will. Sometimes you're going to get a kid who's 7 years old and 100 pounds, and there's not many options for a child like that. So you might have to pair them up against someone that they've wrestled against already. But maybe we scroll down the list and find someone who's better for them. Or maybe you decide, well, you know what? I really like this match in terms of weight and age, and even though they don't have a really good chance of winning, I don't have anyone else to put, so I'll pick that match. it's always up to your discretion as the pairings master for who you should pair. Now, another thing that you could keep an eye on is if you move someone to the bottom, you have the ability to glance who's been in the pool. So if I click this, it's going to put people in order of how long they've been waiting. So maybe I sent Ashton to the bottom for a while ago. I could move him back to the top. Up, and look, he's got a great matchup right away. So that's how you create matchups. Now, the other thing that you've got to keep your eye on is the average number of matches per mat. And we're pretty much always looking to keep this number at around 3. And let me explain to you why. If this number is below 1, that means some mats are sitting empty. That's not good. People are waiting in the pool and mats are empty. So obviously we got to start pairing. But you don't want to make this number too high either, because if I paired, 150 wrestlers right now, then there might only be one person in the pool, and what if I don't have anyone good to match him up with? For example, what if the only people in the pool are Leo Shinokis, who's 52 pounds and 11, and Corey Chimino, who's 120 pounds and 20 years old? So if you form too many matches at once, the quality of the pairing pool goes down. When there's a lot of people, there's a lot of potential matchups, and therefore you have great pairing quality. It's usually pretty easy to pair people with. Meanwhile, if you don't have enough matches made, mats sit empty. Pretty much keeping a mat queue of 2 to 3 is great because it gives enough time for competitors to receive their text message and report to the mat so they're not up instantly. And it doesn't create too much of a queue on a mat where you get your match notification and you're up in the next 8 matches and you keep having to check in at the table. And table workers will get overwhelmed if there's too many matches on deck. So aim for 2 to 3 people. So, how does the color coding work? Well, it goes from green to red, where green means go, yellow means use your judgment, red means you probably won't want to do it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad matchup. Let's see if I can find an example. Well, this is red because of the age, but imagine that this was a 14-year-old versus an 11.6-year-old. Normally it would be red and we would say that's a bad match. But this is saying that the 11-year-old is the higher likely wrestler to win. So you might consider a matchup like that when necessary. But again, for the most part, we're going to just be looking for greens. So, right, here's some greens. Boom. Throw the green out. Move to the next one. See what happens. Yeah, this is pretty good. 50% chance of winning pretty much. Competitive match for both wrestlers. Great. We also can refresh because maybe some new people have entered the pool since last time. Now, other things that you might want to be able to do, let's say someone is leaving. You might want to go to the pairing pool and potentially remove them from the pool or move them to the top or move them to the bottom. Maybe someone doesn't have a cell phone and you want to add them into the pool. If you go to eligible participants, it'll show you a list of people who you can add to the pool. Let's try. Oh, great. Now they're in. I could also remove them from here. We have this thing called pairing pool ranges. You probably won't need it, but if you come in here, you could limit who's allowed into the pool. So for example, I'm going to put, I'm going to say, hey, anyone over 100 pounds can't get in. If I do this, it will remove anyone who's over 100 pounds. Sometimes the way you'll use this is maybe you want to clear out the pool. So I'll make it from people from 0 to 1 pounds. Now, if I go look at the pool, it's empty. Nobody's in there. And now I could, make it back and let people in there. Another thing I want to show you is let's take a look at eligible participants and see what happens when you try to add someone who's outside of their time. So if I try to add Pedro to the pool right now, he's only competitive allowed in matches from this time window. So he's not allowed in. If you wanted to pair him in a match anyway, you could either create a manual pairing, which I'll show you in a moment, Or you could go back to the schedule and edit his time. So I could come right here. I could click edit his time, and I could change these numbers to make it so that way he's eligible for matches. Okay, the last thing that I'd like to show you is just how to create a manual pairing. Actually, I'm going to show you two more things. I'm going to show you a few more things. Well, why not? We'll keep going. To create a manual pairing, you can just press create pairing, select the style of wrestling you'd like the match to be in, and then select the two wrestlers. So let's put Pedro in a match, and let's put Pedro in against me. And that's it. The bout's created, and it's sent to the mat right away. Both wrestlers get text message notifications. What else can we do? We could open multiple pairing pools. So let's say, for example, we want to add freestyle, or freestyle's closed right now. Let's add Greco. We can add Greco, and now the participants, we're even going to open freestyle. So now a participant could choose between any of these three styles. In fact, they could put themselves in the pairing pool for each style, and if they're paired in a match, they'll get the match of that style and be removed from all the other pools. So it's pretty easy to manage. Also, here we could edit the match lengths if we wanted to. Last thing, how to correct results or cancel a match. So the current Warzone matches are the matches that have gone out, and the results are right here. To do a correction, you simply find the result you're looking for and select correction. And then we could either completely delete it, or we could change who the winner is. Let's say it was a decision, and this person actually won 4-1. And we could submit that correction. Great. Or we could just say, we could go in there and say, you know what, this match never happened. Yeah, that's pretty much it. One other thing you might want to do is maybe it's already on a mat and I want to send it to a different mat. I'm capable of doing that as well. Yeah, but that's it. That's the job of a Warzone Pairings Master in a nutshell. Things to remember. When you're looking at the pool, keep an eye on the number of wrestlers in pool and the average number of matches per mat. We'd like this number to be as large as it can, and we'd like this number to be around 3. If this number gets too low, start pairing. If it gets too high, stop pairing and let matches complete. Yeah, that's it. Best of luck with your competition.